New day, new design. Let's get started. We're going to make a bender today, or a folder, or a press brake. It's not a press brake as such, but it's going to be like a mini hydraulic 2-ton box and pan folder. So we have our top beam and we have our tooling. These are 40mm wide tooling. One side of these we're going to drill out to 8mm, and we're going to have these as a M8 thread. So we've got quite a bit of tapping to do. We've got our lower beam here, and this is where it's going to have 2 of these, and we're going to have a V in here. We'll have it a interchangeable V for different applications, smaller, larger, etc. I'm not sure what this is going to be able to fold and bend, but this is pretty chunky stuff, and we're going to see how we go. So we've got some machining work to do here. We've got these 2 bars that go on the top, and we have a large bit of channel. So this is going to rest our jack on here, and then we're going to have jack here, lower beam with your V, and then your top tools here, and then you'll be able to slide in and use different size tooling. The beauty of using these is that you can change these, you can grind them to have different radiuses on, you can put in different shapes and sizes, so you can put in joggles, small little reliefs. You can take them in, you can take them out, you can do boxes on these because if you've got the right sort of tooling. It's nice and easy. So I'll be able to harden these, I'll be able to order more from the laser cutters if I need to have longer or different sizes, different shapes. And it's small, it's compact, it's going to be around 400mm wide, and it'll be able to use the jack, take that out. What I've done is I've put in a small little groove here, and there's a small groove in the top. So I'll be able to take this out, put in a dowel, just a pin, so that's going to square that up, hopefully. And it's going to be used on runners, which I'm using some 30mm bar, which we're going to be welding either side here, and that's going to be able to slide up and down. So it's kind of like an old upstroking machine, and it's got the availability to take tooling in and out. So it's not going to be the most accurate. I was going to put some holes in here to be able to attach to backstop at a later date, but I haven't done that, to be honest. For what I'm doing here, I'm not trying to get overcomplicated. But it's 8mm material, and lasers have come on such a way now that we are able to cut in a 6.75mm hole here, ready for an M8 tap. So I've got some bolts on the way, some nice cap heads. These are going to line up absolutely perfectly there. So let's get grinding, let's get welding, let's get machining, and let's hopefully get some bending done. It's a bit noisy, but I've got lathe machining whilst I'm waiting for parts to be cut on the power hacksaw. I'm cutting these down now to 60mm, so I'm pretty close on that one. 60mm, and then we're going to drill with multiple sizes to get to 16mm, and then we'll probably file on a flat spot there to put a bead of weld down and get those all sorted and joined up. So we're going to deburr the edges, start boring out the hole, get more of these parts made whilst we're working along. Nice and easy. Right, let's take a look what we've got here. So, I hope you can sort of figure out how this is going to work. Measured all of these are all coming in at 60.005, so we're doing pretty well. I've still got the other ones to bore out, but I just wanted to double check before I went through all of that work at the minute. So the tooling is going to go in between these. I'm just going to use these spaces for now. So I hope you can sort of get the general gist of this. With these here, we were going to put them on this bar, which I still could do, but I think the threaded bar is just going to be a bit easier. You can set it as well. I can put in some locking nuts so you can move it, so you can have a constant bend. So if you're doing a 135-degree bend or whatever, then you can be able to slot those down. The downside of that is that it can stretch, but I think at 16mm it's not going to do too much. This would be better, but I kind of like the idea of it being collapsible. So I'm going to weld these onto here like that, and that creates a nice little V that I can grind a little bit of a relief on here to get as much penetration as possible. And then likewise these go onto here. And then this is going to be in a fixed position, locked down with the threaded bar, and then the jack is going to go here, and it's going to be an upstroking press like that. And then you can take the tooling in and out. What we've got to be mindful of is that we need to have this enough space down to be able to get the tools in and out fairly easily. The likelihood of you having all of it in at once, it is possible. It depends on what you're doing. But I think if that was to be down here, to then be able to get them out, I think that would just work better. Plus, I would rather have more of a box height or a throat depth. When you're talking presses, this is your height, and the end, your X, if you like, your X position is your throat depth from where your backstops would typically be. So if you can have more of an open height, is the correct word, this is the open height here, then it gives you the advantage of being able to change and adapt tooling later on down the line, have different Vs, maybe a higher V, maybe a smaller top tool, or a longer top tool. Depends on kind of what you're doing really. I have considered that 2 ton might not be enough, but at the end of the day this isn't going to be fixed. It's going to line up with that marking there, with that piece here, and that will allow you, if I need to go up in tonnage or replace the jack, you know, it's nice and easy. It's going to be a nice solid little framework, so I'm not too concerned. I like the look of these because it kind of reminds me of little cylinders, and it lines them up, and I don't know, I think it looks pretty good. Carry handle at the top, plenty of different options for tooling. These are alignment holes that you can have. I've designed a notch in there so you can hang it up on a wall, you know, whatever you want to do. But I'm pretty pleased. These are 2 holes that I thought at the time I might put a backstop either here and there and then have a bracket on the back, but the main design of these is to be able to space these and have a little bit more support, because as you're going to be bending down into this is going to want to spring back. So I think what might end up happening is maybe putting something in the centre there, which I didn't really think of. But at the same time, I mean, it's you know, pretty tough stuff, and we're not going to be bending, you know, 20mm hardox on here. It's going to be pretty standard, basic sheet metal type stuff. So let's see how it goes, and crack on. Mission complete. 4 of, all done, countersink. I'm not using a reamer or a boring bar or anything like that because I don't have one. But I do have a Morse taper 2 16mm, which, to be honest, I've never used it. The balls are okay for what we're doing here. We're not making medical or aerospace stuff. We're making a bendy thing, so it should be right. It'll be right. But everything's out nice and even. Everything's 60mm, same size, countersunk, nice and smooth. job done. I need to get some welding done now, and grinding, and burning myself, and putting plasters on myself, and welding more, and doing more stuff, and then maybe bending things. Who knows? Sliders on. It's looking pretty good. So we need to bolt these, put them into position, clamp these up laterally, and then a little bit of welding. I think that's going to look pretty cool. It's got really nice fit on these as well. And it's adjustable. It's day 2, and we've tapped, we've put everything in, we've lined everything up, everything's looking sweet. Apart from that bolt there, looks like it's cracked. I'll cross that bridge later. We've got the threaded bar, we've put 2 nuts either side, they're nice and tight. And we've put on the lower beam just to give us rough dimensions where we want to be, and I want to put a bolt up here so it's got a resting point, so when you take the jack out and you might want to use it for something else, you can just let the beam rest down around about here, because I'm never going to be folding anything much higher than that, and I've not got anything out in the way in the back, so I need to get some smaller screws for those, but those are ones I had. I've got some in the post. So we're going to put a bevel on here, either side, get the first step welded on. I've left clearance if I ever need to take these off, but I can get a spanner round, not a wrench, a spanner. And then, depending on how awful the welds look on camera, we should be pretty close. Pretty close. Right, let's put some bubble gum on this pig. This may look a bit heath, but I think we're ready to go. Got these carver clamps here, well, knockoff carver clamps, but these are great, nice and narrow, fit in the handle here. It's almost like I did that deliberately. Definitely not. Got everything welded to here. We've got a nice earth. We've put these bevels on the corners here, with the beauty of it being two flat plates. We've made kind of a V for this round to fall into that V. I've measured from point to point to point to point, and we are square. So I think we're about ready to go. I'm cleaning everything up with a stainless brush, just in between everything, make it nice and tidy. I've put the tooling in just so it's spread evenly. You're going to get some contraction here with the heat, but we're going to just go not too much heat in it to start off with, tack everything up, and yeah, get everything done right and square. What I've used is these notches that I've cut in here. I can line this up with these pieces from here, so it's nice and square. The reality is it doesn't really need to be that accurate with these points here, because it's all lateral movement anyway, and these are, you know, threaded bar, so if it is a bit skew whiff, we can always change it. And this is going to be the base as well, so this is what the jack's going to be sit on. It's all going to be cleaned up and look pretty and painted, and then we should be able to fold. Should. So that's the setup. Welding wise, I've just bought this camera. I don't want to put my welder anywhere near it. I'm just going to crack on with it and see how it goes. I'll put a time lapse on just so you can keep coming along. So I try and be as tidy as possible, use this insulation not for anything but to try and protect the workbench, although I have set fire to it multiple times. Multiple times. Yeah. Well, that's about the best of quality I can get out of a stick, but it's pretty good. I've got a bit of an undercut at the bottom there. You can see that all right. Bit of a shadow on there, but it's okay. It's, you know, it's stuck on. I put two fillets in there. It's nice and penetrated on. It's okay. It's going to do the job. Can't really see. Lighting's not, well, it's too good in here. Yeah, that's the other one. The other side's similar. A bit of slag on that one. Let's see. There's my hammer. So a bit of an undercut. That's okay. I'm no Instagram welder, and I've got a stick in my shed. It takes a real man to show his welds on YouTube, I tell you. A real man. Okay, now for welding on the lower beam here. These are bowed in a little bit, I think, because this is clamped really tightly here. but just want to make sure that this seam here is square as possible, and I'm not feeling any sort of movement on there, which is good. I've put two bits of top tooling down here to clamp on here, and it's looking nice, and you know, I don't feel the need to clamp that up at all. So let's bevel these and then put some weld down. Just start to come together. Other side is done, and these are kind of the results. Could be a little bit better, but it is on. I've got quite a bit of splatter on there that I need to make a little bit more prettier looking. But it is on. The hole is filled and it is penetrated. It ain't moving, so I just need to clean those up. I'm going to go over just to get rid of any sharp bits, and this slag I'm just going to chip off. And that's going to be. It's going to be about it for any welding really. Now that it's all on, it's nice and square still, it moves up and down freely. I'm not touching it at the minute because it's still bloody hot. And then we're going to put the jack on, drill some holes in the base, and I think we're about done. Still got the tooling to machine. I've got an adjustable angle vise that we're going to put at 45 for now and just do a basic 45 wedge. It's nice and tough. I could do it on the grinder, but I might do it on the grinder, I don't know. See how we go. It looks like a press, and it does go up and down. Just need to put V in there, more tooling, paint everything up. With this nice and free, so we've got that nice and square, but this I need to make some minor adjustments. Put a dowel, I'm just using a screw for now, to line up the cross of there into there. Wind it down, the jack's a bit stiff. It goes like that. Well, hey, need to put a V in there, and these two holes, that is that one and that one offers 2 springs to go down there just to help with the return, because the weight of this top beam at the minute isn't quite to lower it, so I'm just using my, not using a lot of force to get it back down again. Not bad, eh? Lick of paint, make a pretty handle, finish it all off, square it up. Not bad. All the tooling's in. Still need to adjust these. I think that it's pushing out just a slight bit. I can do it actually. Worse. Really think I should put some bolts. I think that's going to be the best thing. If that's at its lowest point there. And just put 2 nuts there, maybe. But you can get quite an amount of throat in there. It's pretty good. And then maybe it's just some non-nylock nuts there to maybe make it a little bit easier. Spot on. The jack's a bit stiff as well because I think it's new. China. That's the split one. It's a bit funny, that. All these are tight. They're a bit tight if they're all in like that. Try the middle one. Bit of one doing that. Making videos is fun. So you can't have these super tight when you're taking in and out tooling. But it's quite nice though, because you can have it there, line it back up again. I will point out that this gives no torque at all, so I'm not putting too much stress and strain on there. You know, with a T-handle, I can quite easily, undo those. It's not putting on too much pressure. I don't like seeing people use impacts on everything for that exact reason. It would be cool to put on just some lock nuts here, then really long extending ones so it's not going to stretch. And then you can adjust them. So if you want to do a set angle for something, then it's always going to be the same. Like on a real press brake, not a toy one. And I like the fact you can take the jack in and out, which is good. That little V, that little dash there, and that is bang in the middle then. So you've got no crowning though. I'm doing a night shift tonight. It's pretty dark. Got everything painted, well primed I should say. I've got that dark blue that I'm going to go for. I think it's classed as a royal blue. Looks pretty good. Just hung everything from the rafters. Use this paracord. All ready to go. So I'll see you tomorrow. Assemble, bend, break fingers, repeat. Last stage of the party now, guys. We've painted everything up, looking pretty sweet. Got the base done, and I've experimented with a little bit of tooling here. So I don't know how well this is going to show up on the camera, but just got the file out, set everything up with a combination square. I'm just going to use this as a test, the test V, if you like, test top tool. I'm going to try using this at some smaller, quite thick gauge angle line. It's got quite a radius in there, so it's not going to be too aggressive on the tooling. It is a bit noisy, so I apologise. So wait for that for a few weeks and it should be done. It's working. Kind of. Still got a few more bits to do. I need to grind up all the tooling, but I'm running out of time today. So I made a little bit of this angle line with quite a big radius on there. The bigger the radius, typically the thicker the material. I'm not going to be putting some 10mm through this and trying to show off, because you probably won't do it and I might break it and I'll be very annoyed. So I tried to put this on here, and I did a very cheeky test before I recorded myself and looked a bit silly. And it's all tooling, you know. Pressing machines is, the press goes up and down, the tooling is the magic. But I will do a very brief one just with this. This was the sample piece that I did. It's quite thin, the tooling needs to be a bit more sharp, and this is the wrong V. I have got, actually, a V block that I can use instead, which might make it a little bit prettier, but I have got to balance it. That might work. Plate in, balance everything. That's definitely not square. Oh yeah. Oh, it's not even struggling. Awesome. This is where I drop everything. Need the return springs. Hey, I tell you what, not bad that. I'll take that. Let's do it again. I'm going to make a prettier handle, and for that, probably. Okay, let's square that on there. Tell you what, that's not bad, that. I'll take that. Beats bending it in a vise. And with that V, I'm not getting any tooling marks on the outside, just on the punch side, like that, which is pretty standard. But for a professional sort of better look, and that's pretty close, that. And to try and do that well and accurately while bending it in the vise, you know. I'm pleased with that. I'll do a follow-up video after I've done all the tooling, and we'll do some wider boxes. I'm pretty pleased with that. Well, I'll do a follow-up and we'll get all the tooling done and see what we can bend and be a bit more technical. I'm still tempted to try and put some backstops on it and put these adjusters on here. But yeah, it works well. Works well. Let's call it a day. Cheers, guys.